The planet burned. Black smoke rose into the orange sky, turning the sunlight into a dark red glow. The air was heavy with dust and the smell of melted metal. Across the battlefield, broken alien ships lay like dead beasts, their silver bodies twisted and torn. Among the ruins, a human soldier named Ethan Cross dragged his wounded leg through the dirt. His armor was cracked, his visor shattered, and his blood mixed with the rain that began to fall. Still, he kept walking, because in his arms he carried Princess Leora of the alien world Irindra. Her pale blue skin was covered in dust. Her heartbeat was weak. Her golden eyes fluttered open for a second, and she whispered, "Why, are you still here, human?" Ethan looked down at her with tired eyes. "Because," he said softly, "you still have a world to live for." He placed her gently behind a broken energy wall and raised his rifle. Around them, alien assassins, rebels of her own kind, moved like shadows through the smoke. Their red visors glowed like demons. Ethan fired. One assassin fell. Then another. His rifle clicked empty and he drew his blade instead. His breathing grew louder. Every heartbeat sounded like thunder in his ears. Above them, the last human dropship tried to lift off, but it exploded midair. Ethan didn't even look. He knew there would be no rescue. No one was coming. He was the last human left on the planet. Leora crawled closer, weakly grabbing his arm. "You'll die if you stay," she said. Her voice was soft, shaking. Ethan smiled through the pain. "Maybe," he said, "but I promised your father I'd protect you. Promises mean something, where I come from." A distant explosion threw both of them to the ground. The rebels were closing in. Their voices echoed through the fog. "Kill the human. Bring the princess alive." Ethan struggled to stand. His right arm was bleeding badly now, but his eyes burned with fire. He knew what they wanted. If they caught her, they'd use her as a weapon. He couldn't let that happen. He turned to her and said quietly, "When I tell you to run, run. Don't look back." Leora shook her head. "No, not without you," he smiled faintly. "Stubborn, just like your mother." For a second they both laughed, just a small sound in the middle of hell. Then the ground shook again. The enemy appeared from all sides. Red beams cut through the air. Ethan moved fast, blocking one shot with his blade, firing his last energy cell. The fight was desperate, brutal. He was faster than any of them expected, but the numbers grew. For every rebel he cut down, 2 more came. His armor broke piece by piece. A laser burned across his back. He screamed but kept fighting. Leora covered her ears and cried, "Stop! Please stop." But Ethan didn't. He fought like a storm, wild, unstoppable. Until a blast from above threw him to his knees. His rifle was gone. His body was shaking. He looked up to see a massive energy cannon charging above the ridge, aimed directly at them. Leora crawled toward him. "Ethan, get up." He looked at her, eyes soft but sure. "It's okay," he whispered. "It's almost over." He reached out, placed his trembling hand on her cheek. "You're safe now, princess." Then he pushed her down behind a pile of wreckage, covering her with his body as the cannon fired. The explosion swallowed everything, light, sound, air. For a long moment, there was only silence. When the dust cleared, the rebels were gone. The cannon had destroyed them too. The ground was scorched black, and pieces of armor glowed red-hot in the ash. Leora opened her eyes slowly. The air burned her throat. She coughed and looked around. "Ethan," she called weakly. No answer. She dragged herself through the rubble, her hands bleeding. Then she found him, his armor broken, lying on his side, half buried in debris. She touched his face. It was cold. Tears ran down her cheeks. "No, please," she whispered. "You can't leave me." She pressed her forehead against his chest, but there was no heartbeat. The rain fell harder now, washing the dust away, making small rivers through the broken ground. Leora screamed his name into the storm, her voice breaking apart in the wind. Soldiers from the Royal Rescue Fleet finally arrived, too late. They pulled her away, but she kept reaching for him. Her hands slipped through the air, leaving blood on their gloves. As the ship rose into the dark sky, lightning flashed over the battlefield. For a brief second, the wreckage below glowed, and something strange happened. Ethan's chest gave one small pulse of light. No one saw it, not even Leora. But somewhere deep in the ashes of war, the man who gave his life for the alien princess was not completely gone. The royal palace of Arindra floated high above the silver clouds, silent, shining, and cold. It was built from crystal towers that caught sunlight and turned it into fire. But inside those walls, the heart of Queen Elara was darker than the sky below. She stood alone in the Hall of Stars, her long white gown glowing faintly. Around her floated dozens of holograms, news from the front lines. Every image showed the same thing. Burning cities, dead soldiers, and one word flashing in red: loss. Then came the final report. The princess was alive. The human soldier was dead. Queen Elara's fingers tightened around her staff. Her golden eyes narrowed. She had always disliked humans. To her, they were fragile, greedy, short-lived creatures who caused more trouble than they were worth. And yet, one of them had done what her own elite guards could not. He had saved her daughter. He had given his life for her bloodline. The queen closed her eyes for a long moment. A human, she whispered softly. A mortal nobody. But deep inside, a small crack formed in her pride. The door opened. A medic bowed deeply. "Your Majesty, the princess wishes to see you." Elara turned sharply. "Is she awake?" "Yes, my queen, but she refuses to eat. She keeps saying the human will return." The queen's face remained calm, but her voice dropped lower. "He is gone. The dead do not return." Yet that night, as the queen walked through the royal garden, she heard something strange from the medical wing, a soft humming sound. Machines were active. Too active. She followed the noise, her heels clicking on the crystal floor. At the end of the hallway, a sealed door glowed faint blue. It was the royal cryo vault, a place for preserving bodies lost in war. The guard saluted her, but she raised a hand. "No one enters." "Not even me." Still the humming grew louder. A pulse, slow, rhythmic. Almost like a heartbeat, her eyes narrowed. "Who was inside that chamber?" The chief scientist hesitated. "We recovered a body near the impact site, Majesty. It matched the human's armor signature. His vitals were gone, but his cells refused to die." The queen stepped closer. "Show me." The chamber hissed open, releasing cold mist. Inside lay Ethan Cross, frozen in time. His face pale, his chest unmoving, yet tiny sparks of light flickered beneath his skin, like stars trapped inside his veins. Elara stared in silence. The faint sound of a heartbeat echoed through the vault. Thump, thump, thump. Her voice came out soft and sharp at once. "You told me he was dead." The scientist bowed low. "He should be, Majesty. But his body rejects death. Our healers cannot explain it." The queen turned slowly toward her guards. "No one speaks of this. Not to the court. Not even to my daughter." "Understood?" "Yes, Your Majesty." But even as they bowed, she couldn't take her eyes off the human. His stillness felt powerful, like he was not gone, only waiting. For the next few nights, Elara visited the vault alone. She stood before the glass, watching the strange glow beneath his skin. Every time she told herself she came to confirm his death. But every time she saw that tiny flicker, she whispered the same words: "Why won't you rest?" One night, the door opened behind her. "Mother," said a soft voice. It was Leora, thin and pale, her steps unsteady. Elara quickly turned. "You should not be here." The princess's eyes filled with tears. "He saved me. You can't just let him die." Elara's tone hardened. "He already did, my child. And the dead must remain dead." Leora shook her head. "Then why is he still breathing?" The queen froze. The heartbeat echoed louder, almost as if reacting to the girl's words. For a brief moment, Ethan's fingers twitched. The light in his chest flared brighter. The princess gasped. "You see? He's alive!" Guards moved forward to pull her back, but the queen raised her hand. "Leave us." When the guards left, silence filled the vault. Elara walked closer to the glass. She could see the faint rise and fall of Ethan's chest now. His body was repairing itself, healing. Leora touched the glass gently. "He gave everything for me. Please, Mother, don't let him go." The queen closed her eyes. Her heart was heavy. She remembered the prophecy of her ancestors. When a mortal gives his soul for royal blood, the crown will owe him eternity. Elara opened her eyes again, golden light flashing in them. "Very well," she said quietly. "He will not die." Leora looked up with hope. "You'll save him?" The queen's voice grew calm, but her expression darkened. "Yes, but he will not return as he was. He will belong to us now forever." The princess stepped back, her face pale with fear. "Mother, what are you going to do?" The queen turned to her voice like cold glass. "If he gave his life for our bloodline, then his life is our bloodline now." As she left the vault, the scientists began to prepare ancient machines. Blue light filled the room, circling Ethan's frozen body. Leora watched, her heart racing. The human who had died for her was about to live again, but something deep inside told her that the man who would wake up would never be the same. The chamber was dark, filled with silver mist and the low hum of alien machines. For 7 days and nights, the royal healers of Erindra worked in silence, surrounding the human's cryopod. Tubes glowed with blue energy. His veins pulsed faint light. Then, on the 8th day, the heartbeat changed. Inside the frozen capsule, Ethan Cross gasped suddenly. His eyes shot open, glowing gold for 1 second before fading back to human brown. The pod hissed open, releasing cold air that rolled across the floor like smoke. He coughed and sat up, trembling. His chest burned. Every breath felt heavy but alive. He touched his face, his chest, his hands. His skin felt smoother, his blood warmer. He was alive, yet something deep inside whispered that this wasn't life as he knew it. The door opened softly. Princess Leora rushed in, her golden eyes wide and bright. "Ethan!" she cried, her voice breaking with emotion. She ran forward and grabbed his hand. It was warm, too warm. He blinked at her, confused. "Leora?" His voice was weak but steady. "You're safe?" Tears filled her eyes. "Because of you." Ethan looked around. The room wasn't human. Walls made of glowing crystal, strange symbols floating in the air. The air itself shimmered like starlight. He frowned. "Where am I?" Before she could answer, a door behind her opened again. The sound of heels echoed. It was Queen Alara. She walked in like a storm, graceful, tall, eyes sharp as blades. Her gown shimmered in royal blue and her crown glowed with soft light. "Human," she said, her voice calm but powerful. "Welcome back to the realm of the living." Ethan tried to stand, but his body refused. "You saved me?" The queen's expression didn't change. "I preserved you." He stared, confused. "Preserved?" Ilara raised a hand. The machines dimmed. The glow beneath Ethan's skin brightened. Blue veins pulsed with energy that wasn't human. He stared at his arm in shock. "What did you do to me?" "I gave you what your kind could never have," the queen said. "A second life. My scientists fused your dying cells with Erindran essence. You are not just human anymore." Ethan's heart pounded. "You changed me?" Her golden eyes softened but didn't blink. "I made you stronger. You can heal faster, breathe our air, survive our gravity. You belong to neither world now." Leora looked terrified. "Mother, he didn't ask for this." Elara's tone was cold. "He gave his life for royal blood. Now royal blood gives him life in return. Balance must be kept." Ethan clenched his fists. His pulse glowed brighter. The energy inside him felt alive, almost like a separate being whispering in his head. He looked at the queen, anger building. "You had no right." The queen turned away. "I had every right. You died protecting my daughter. Your sacrifice gave me a debt to pay. Now the debt is repaid." He stood slowly, his legs trembling but strong. "You should have let me die." Elara's lips curved in a sad smile. "Perhaps, but your story is not over." She left the room without another word. Only the soft hum of the chamber remained. Leora knelt beside him, her hands shaking. "I didn't know she would do this." "I swear it." Ethan touched her hand gently. "It's okay." His voice trembled. "I'm just trying to understand what I am now." For a moment, they sat in silence. Then Leora whispered, "Can you feel it? The power inside you?" He nodded. "Yes, it's like something breathing with me. But it's not me." Leora's face filled with fear. "Mother used an ancient method, forbidden biofusion. It links a soul to Erindran energy. If you lose control, it will consume you." Ethan stared at his glowing hands. "So I'm a weapon now?" "No," she said softly. "You're a miracle." But even as she said the words, Ethan felt the truth deep in his bones. He could feel the energy pulsing in rhythm with his anger. When he tried to calm down, the light dimmed. When fear rose, the glow grew stronger. He wasn't fully human anymore, and he wasn't sure what that meant. That night, he couldn't sleep. He stood near the glass window of his chamber, looking out over the alien city. Silver towers floated in the mist, lights dancing like stars. For a moment it was beautiful. Then he saw his reflection and froze. His eyes were glowing again. Not gold this time, but blue like Leora's. He whispered, "What have you turned me into?" Behind him a door slid open. A shadow stepped forward, a royal guard in black armor. The guard's voice was low and cold. "You are awake sooner than expected, human." Ethan turned. "Who are you?" "I am Commander Tarek," the man said. "Her Majesty's enforcer." He looked Ethan up and down with disgust. "You should have stayed dead." "The Queen's obsession will destroy us all." Ethan frowned. "What are you talking about?" Tarek leaned closer. "You are not her gift. You are her curse. The Council fears you. They say if the Queen keeps you alive, the throne will fall." The guard turned to leave but whispered one last warning. "Be careful, human. You may have come back from death, but death may come back for you." As the door closed, Ethan looked back at the city again. His heartbeat echoed in his ears, strong and alien. He touched his chest, feeling both warmth and fear. He was alive, but he was no longer sure what kind of life this was. The royal training ground stretched across the highest platform of the palace, a field of shining metal, glowing runes and floating drones humming in the air. The sun of Arindra burned blue-white above the horizon. Wind whispered between the towers as Ethan stood there silent, watching alien soldiers line up before him. He wore new armor, silver and black, shaped by alien design. It felt strange on his skin, as if it were alive. When he moved, the metal pulsed faintly, like it could sense his heartbeat. From a distance, Queen Elara and Princess Leora watched from the balcony. The Queen's face was calm, unreadable. The princess, however, looked worried, her fingers gripping the railing tightly. "Begin," the Queen said. The Commander Tarek barked the command, "Activate the drones." Blue lights flashed. 10 training drones appeared in the air, spinning in fast circles. They fired energy bolts at Ethan without warning. Instinct took over. Ethan dodged the first blast easily, rolling aside. But when another came, his body reacted on its own. Too fast, too sharp. His hand shot up and the energy beam froze in midair. The blue light bent toward his palm as if obeying him. Everyone watching gasped. Ethan stared at his hand, confused. "What was that?" Tarek smirked coldly. "That, human, is the Queen's gift inside you. You are no longer just flesh and blood. You are Irindran made." The Queen spoke softly from above. "Continue." The next wave came harder. Ethan jumped, kicked, twisted, his movements no longer purely human. The alien energy inside him flowed like water through his veins. He was fast, strong, graceful, and terrifying. Within seconds, the drones lay scattered, sparks flying. Ethan stood in the center, breathing heavily, his eyes glowing faint blue. The soldiers watching bowed slightly, whispering among themselves. "Impossible. He moves like one of us." "No, stronger." The Queen's lips curved faintly. "You see, Commander? My experiment succeeds," but Tarek frowned. "Yes, Majesty. Too well." His voice carried warning. "If he learns to master that power, not even our royal guards can control him." Elara's eyes glimmered. "Then we will not control him. We will command him." Down below, Leora ran to Ethan as he collapsed to one knee. Steam rose from his armor. "Ethan, are you okay?" she cried, holding his arm. He nodded weakly. "Just tired." His voice cracked. "It feels like something inside me wants to take over." Before she could answer, Elara descended from the balcony, her gown flowing like mist. "You are adapting," she said. "Your body and mind must learn balance. That is why you will train daily until you are perfect." Ethan looked up at her, pain and defiance mixing in his eyes. "Perfect for what?" The Queen's smile was faint but sharp. "For war." Leora's face went pale. "Mother, no. He's not a weapon." Elara turned to her calmly. "He already is. He just doesn't accept it yet." Ethan stood, anger flashing in his voice. "I didn't ask for this power." "You didn't ask to live either," the Queen said coldly. "But you do. That means your life now serves a purpose greater than your choice." Her words cut deep. Ethan wanted to scream but stopped himself. He could see no weakness in her face, no kindness, only determination. Later that night, he stood alone in his quarters, staring at the stars through the glass window. His reflection looked alien. The faint blue veins under his skin glowed softly like rivers of light. He clenched his fists. "She made me into something I don't understand," he whispered. "Something I never wanted to be." Behind him, the door opened quietly. It was Leora. She stepped closer, her face full of worry. "She's turning you into a soldier," she said softly.
"She wants to use you to silence the rebel factions."
"They fear your kind now, human and Irindran mixed." Ethan looked at her. "And you? Do you fear me?" Leora hesitated, then shook her head. "No, but I fear what she's doing to you." Ethan gave a sad smile. "Your mother saved me, but she killed the man I was." Leora took a step closer. "Maybe not. Maybe part of you is still human. That's the part I trust." Their eyes met in silence. Outside, thunder rolled through the alien clouds. Suddenly, the wall console flashed red. An alarm blared through the palace. Tarek's voice came through the comm. "Security breach. The rebels have entered the lower hangars." Elara's command followed instantly, strong and cold. "All units, defend the palace. Send the hybrid." Ethan froze. "She means me." Leora grabbed his arm. "Don't go. She's testing you again. The rebels are probably her spies." Leora grabbed his arm. "Don't go. She's testing you again. The rebels are probably her spies." He looked down at her. "If I don't go, she'll think I'm disloyal. And if I fight, I'll prove her right, that I am a weapon." He took her hand, his eyes glowing brighter. "But I'll fight my way back to who I was." And with that, he ran into the blue-lit corridors, armor burning with power, footsteps echoing like thunder. From the shadows above, Queen Elara watched him on the holoscreen, her expression unreadable. "He fights beautifully," she whispered. "Almost too beautifully." Commander Tarek stood beside her, frowning. "Beauty can turn into rebellion, Majesty." The Queen's eyes shimmered like fire. "If that happens, Commander, I'll make sure he never leaves this palace alive." The battle in the hangars ended before dawn. Smoke still curled up through the palace shafts, the metallic smell of energy blasts clinging to the air. Ethan stood among the wreckage, armor cracked, eyes glowing faint blue. Around him, rebel bodies lay silent. The Queen's soldiers bowed in awe as he passed. He had fought like a storm, faster than thought, stronger than fear. And yet he felt nothing. No victory, no pride. Only a quiet, heavy emptiness inside. When he looked at his hands, faint blue veins shimmered under the skin. "I'm not human anymore," he whispered to himself. From the balcony above, Queen Elara watched him silently. Her long cloak moved in the cold air like silver smoke. Her golden eyes shone not with pride but with something darker. Something personal. Later, in her private chamber, she dismissed the guards and ordered Ethan to come alone. The room was filled with soft lights, glowing crystals, and the scent of strange flowers that only bloomed at night. When Ethan entered, he bowed slightly. "You sent for me, Majesty." She turned toward him slowly. Her voice was smooth, calm, dangerous. "You saved my palace again." "I didn't do it for you," Ethan said quietly. "I did it because innocent people were in danger." Her lips curved slightly. Always the noble human. She walked closer, her gown brushing against the marble floor. "Tell me, does it bother you what you've become?" He hesitated. "Yes." She stopped just a few steps away, studying his face. "It shouldn't. You were dying. Now you are more than human. You should be grateful." Ethan's eyes hardened. "Grateful?" "You took my choice away." The Queen's smile faded. "I gave you eternity." "I didn't ask for eternity," he said, voice rising. "I just wanted to save your daughter." For a moment, the Queen said nothing. Her golden eyes softened. "And you did. You saved her. You saved all of us." She reached out slowly, her fingers brushing his cheek. "But who will save you now?" Ethan stepped back instantly. "Don't." Elara's voice dropped, soft as a whisper. "You fear me?" "I fear what you've turned me into." Her eyes narrowed, but instead of anger, there was pain. "You think I don't know what it means to lose humanity?" She whispered. "I lost mine a long time ago, when I buried my husband and took the throne." Ethan looked at her carefully. For the first time, he saw something human behind her power, loneliness. But before he could answer, the door opened sharply. Princess Leora entered, her face pale with anger. "Mother, stop this." The Queen turned, voice like ice again. "You forget your manners, child." "No," Leora said firmly, stepping closer to Ethan. "You forget your limits." Elara's expression darkened. "Leave us." Leora didn't move. "He's not your weapon. He's not your experiment. And he's not your toy." Ethan looked between them, unsure what to say. The tension in the room was like a blade. The Queen's voice broke the silence. You care for him too much. You think I don't see it? Leora froze. Elara continued, her tone sharper now. You see a savior. I see a threat. You see a man. I see the weapon that will end wars. Tell me, my daughter, whose eyes are blinded? Leora's voice trembled but stayed steady. Yours, because you've forgotten how to love without owning. The queen's face went cold. Enough. She raised her hand and the lights dimmed. Energy crackled in the air, a silent warning. Leora felt the pressure on her chest, pushing her back slightly, but Ethan stepped between them. That's enough, Majesty. Her eyes flashed. You dare stand between me and my blood? He didn't move. You gave me life. You don't get to control it. For a long, dangerous moment, no one spoke. The room pulsed with quiet power. Hers golden, his blue. Then the queen turned away. Guards, she said softly. Take my daughter to her chamber. She needs reflection. Leora tried to speak, but Ethan's hand gently stopped her. It's okay. Go, he said quietly. She looked into his eyes one last time before being led away. When the doors closed, silence returned. The queen stood with her back to him, looking out the window at the twin moons above the city. You think me cruel, she said after a long pause. But cruelty keeps this empire alive. Ethan's voice was quiet. Then your empire is dying. She turned slowly, her face unreadable. Perhaps. But if I must choose between my heart and my crown, I will always choose the crown. Ethan met her gaze. Then you'll lose both. For a brief second, the queen's face broke. Pain, regret, and longing flashed across it. Then it vanished again behind the mask of royalty. Go, she said softly, turning away. Before I forget that you are a guest, and not a prisoner. Ethan left the chamber in silence, the echo of her words haunting him. Outside, Leora waited in the dark hallway. When she saw his face, she whispered, She'll never let you go. He nodded slowly. I know. They looked at each other under the pale blue lights of the palace. Two souls caught between duty and love, both prisoners of a queen's obsession, and far above them. In her chamber, Queen Elara stood alone before the mirror. Her reflection flickered faintly, showing not a queen, but a woman who once loved, lost, and refused to lose again. Night fell on Erindra, and the royal palace floated in silence above the clouds. But inside those shining towers, shadows were moving. Princess Leora sat in her darkened chamber, staring at the glowing blue sky beyond her window. The stars felt closer than ever, yet she had never felt so trapped. Her mother's words still echoed in her mind. He will belong to us forever. Leora's heart ached. She knew what her mother was planning, binding Ethan's life force to the royal bloodline through forbidden fusion. It would turn him into an immortal guardian who could never leave, never rest, and never be free. She whispered into the night, You gave your life for me once. Now it's my turn. The door slid open softly. Ethan stepped inside. His eyes glowed faintly in the dark, a mix of human warmth and alien fire. You shouldn't be here, Leora said, though her voice was full of relief. I couldn't sleep, he replied. Every time I close my eyes, I hear something calling me, like a whisper in my blood. She stood and walked closer, her voice trembling. That's not a dream. It's the bond Mother's creating. She's finishing the process tonight. Ethan's eyes widened. What process? Leora looked down. She wants to link your soul to ours, to the throne itself. You'll never die, but you'll never live as yourself again. You'll be the Empire's eternal weapon. He was silent for a long moment. Then he laughed bitterly. So even death won't free me this time. Leora took his hand quickly. We can still stop her. He looked at her, confused but hopeful. How? I know the secret tunnels beneath the palace, the ones Father built before he died. They lead to the old ruins beyond the sky docks. If we reach them, no one can track us. Ethan hesitated. If we run? She'll come after us. Leora smiled sadly. Then we'll run faster. For a moment, they just stood there, his hand warm in hers, her heart racing. Then alarms began to echo faintly in the distance. The ceremony had begun. They moved quickly through silent corridors. The walls glowed with pale light as they passed statues of long-dead kings. Every step felt heavier than the last. They reached the lower vaults where the air smelled of metal and dust. Ethan stopped suddenly, staring at a door marked with strange glowing runes. What is this place? He asked. The soul chamber, Leora whispered. This is where she's keeping your life essence. Inside the chamber floated a crystal sphere filled with blue fire. Ethan stepped closer, feeling his heartbeat sync with its pulse. His chest burned in response. He touched the glass and memories flashed. The battlefield, the explosion, Leora's scream, his last breath. He pulled his hand away, gasping. "She's already taken part of me," he said. "That's why I feel so hollow." Leora's eyes filled with tears. "Then we take it back." She pressed her palm to the console, overriding the royal seals with her genetic code. The glass cracked. The fire inside the sphere flared brightly, lighting the room like sunrise. Suddenly, a voice thundered through the chamber. "Stop this madness!" The door opened with a hiss. Queen Alara stood there, her gown glowing with power, eyes burning gold. Guards surrounded her. Ethan stepped protectively in front of Leora. "If you want to finish your ritual, you'll have to kill me again." The queen raised her hand. "You misunderstand, human. You cannot die again. You're mine now," Leora shouted. "He doesn't belong to you." Alara's voice cracked like thunder. "I am the queen. Everything that breathes under these skies belongs to me, including you." The room trembled as power radiated from her body. Blue and gold lightning filled the air. The crystal sphere shattered completely, sending streams of energy swirling around Ethan. He screamed as the light entered his body, lifting him into the air. His eyes turned gold for a moment, the same as the queen's. His voice deepened. "I can feel it. Her control." Leora ran forward, grabbing his arm. "Fight it, Ethan. Remember who you are." Her voice cut through the storm. Ethan's breathing slowed. His eyes flickered back to blue. He reached for her hand, gripping it tightly. The queen's face twisted with rage. "You dare defy your creator?" Ethan looked at her, pain and fury burning in his voice. "You didn't create me. You just refused to let me go." He released a wave of energy that knocked the guards back. The chamber cracked apart, crystals shattering, walls glowing red. Leora shouted, "The tunnels now!" Ethan nodded. He pulled her close, and they ran through the collapsing corridor, fire and smoke chasing them. Behind them, the queen screamed their names, her voice echoing like a storm over the city. They reached the open docks. The sky was full of lightning. Rain poured down in silver streaks. Ethan looked back one last time at the palace glowing in the distance. "She won't stop," he said. Leora looked up at him, tears mixing with the rain. "Then we don't stop either." They climbed aboard a small flight skimmer, engines roaring to life. As they lifted into the night sky, the queen's voice whispered faintly through the comms. "Run if you wish. You carry my power now. Wherever you go, I will find you." Leora turned off the channel, her heart breaking. Ethan placed his hand on hers. "Then she'll have to fight for it." The ship vanished into the storm, heading toward the forbidden ruins where destiny waited. The storm over Erindra had not ended. Lightning rolled across the dark sky like veins of fire. The royal skimmer sped through the rain, leaving trails of blue light behind it. Inside, Ethan sat beside Leora, holding the controls tight as the ship trembled. "Almost there," he said. His voice was calm, but his eyes glowed faintly, half human warmth, half alien fire. Ahead lay the ruins of Vareth, an ancient place older than the royal bloodline itself. The temple floated above a sea of mist, built from black stone and glowing symbols. It was said that the first kings of Erindra had made pacts with stars here. When they landed, the rain stopped. The world went silent, as if the storm itself feared this place. Leora stepped down first, looking around the empty courtyard. "This is where my father came before he died," she whispered. "He said this place holds the truth of our kind." Ethan followed, his boots echoing softly. He looked up at the carvings, images of humans and aliens standing side by side. "Your ancestors knew humans?" She nodded slowly. "Long ago, before the wars. Before the hatred." He stared at one carving in silence, a man shielding an alien queen from an explosion. "It looks familiar," he said quietly. Before Leora could reply, the ground shook. A deep hum rose in the air. Blue light pulsed beneath the stones. "She's here," Ethan said. A blast of golden energy ripped through the clouds above. Queen Alara's warship descended, surrounded by thunder. The moment her feet touched the ground, the ancient ruins came alive with power. "Enough running." Her voice echoed through the temple halls. "You cannot escape your fate." Ethan stepped forward. "I never wanted a fate. I just wanted a life." The queen raised her hand and energy swirled around her like fire. "You have a life because of me. You are the proof of my power, the bridge between two species." But you reject me for her? She pointed at Leora. Leora shouted, "Mother, please stop. This isn't about power, it's about control."
Let him go.
The queen's golden eyes burned brighter. He is part of me now. If I lose him, I lose everything. Ethan's voice was low but steady. Then maybe you never had anything to begin with. Alara's face twisted with rage and pain. She unleashed a beam of golden fire. Ethan jumped forward, summoning the blue energy from his core. The two forces collided, gold and blue, lighting the ruins like a newborn sun. The ground cracked. The temple wall split. Leora was thrown backward, hitting the stone steps hard. "Ethan!" she cried. He struggled, both powers pushing against each other. His body shook, half burning, half freezing. "Leora, we get back!" But the queen's voice roared like thunder. "You belong to me!" Ethan's glow grew stronger, his voice echoing with both pain and fury. "I belong to no one." He pushed forward with all his strength, breaking the beam apart. Energy exploded outward, knocking everyone to the ground. When the light faded, Ethan stood at the center, barely breathing, smoke rising from his armor. The queen fell to her knees, weak but still proud. "You can't destroy me," she whispered. "I made you." Ethan limped closer, looking at her with tired eyes. "No, you brought me back. But it was her who made me live." He turned toward Leora, who was struggling to stand. Ilara's expression broke for the first time, grief softening the steel in her eyes. "You would choose love over destiny?" Ethan smiled faintly. "Every time." The queen looked at her daughter, trembling. "I wanted to protect you, Leora. I wanted to make sure no one could ever take you from me." Leora stepped forward slowly, tears glimmering. "Then don't cage the people who love me, Mother. That's not protection. That's fear." For a moment silence fell. Only the sound of the rain returned, soft and distant. Then the queen's staff slipped from her hand. The golden light around her faded. She looked at Ethan one last time and whispered, "Maybe it's time I learned to let go." The energy that bound him to her flickered, then shattered. A pulse of blue light spread through the ruins, rising like fireflies into the sky. The storm broke. The clouds opened. Ethan gasped, clutching his chest. The pain was gone. The glow in his veins dimmed until only his human heartbeat remained. He fell to his knees, breathing hard. Leora ran to him, holding him tightly. "You're free," she whispered. He smiled weakly. "Feels strange." She laughed through her tears. "Get used to it." They turned as the queen stood once more, her hair flowing in the soft wind. Her eyes were no longer gold, they were human gray. The power had left her. "Go," she said quietly. "Leave Arindra. Find your peace. Together." Ethan bowed his head. "Thank you." Leora hesitated, then whispered, "Will you be okay?" The queen looked at the horizon. "For the first time in a long while, I think I might." Later, as the skimmer flew toward the stars, Ethan looked out at the fading planet below. "I used to think dying for someone was the greatest act of love," he said softly. Leora smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. "And now?" He looked at her, eyes warm. "Now I know. Living for someone is harder, but it's worth it." The stars reflected in her golden eyes as the ship disappeared into the endless dark. Far behind them, on the balcony of her palace, Queen Alara watched the trail of light fade into the sky. She whispered to herself, "He gave his life once, but this time he kept it, for her." The wind carried her words into the night, and in that silence between worlds, peace finally began.